All right, Steeler fans, welcome to the Mailbag Segment of the Let's Ride podcast. Every single Wednesday, I answer your questions. In case you're wondering, how do I get my question answered? It is rather simple. All you have to do is find me on Twitter. You don't have to follow, just find me every single Tuesday at jhartman, HARTMAN_PIT. I pose the question to say, hey, who has questions for the Mailbag Segment? You all respond to that tweet. I will answer them live on the air. With that out of the way, let's get started with Jeff Coons, our buddy from up north. He said, greetings from Not Mad Canada. Jeff, I agree. Steeler fans are only happy when they're miserable. 2 early road wins, regardless of the outcome, are a great way to start the year. Take them and keep building. The development will take time. Keep the faith, fans. The question is the Steelers' current success model that couples a dominant defense with effective special teams play enough? Is a team content to have offense not lose games due to their lack of firepower? I think this depends on whether you believe like a Mike Tomlin and how he handles his business in terms of speaking with the media, or I guess you could even say Arthur Smith, because what they've done is they've said that the last 2 games, they have executed the game plan to a T. Whether it's in Atlanta, don't turn it over, let the defense do their job. Denver, get a lead, protect the lead. Don't do anything stupid. And so if that's the case, I want to see what they can do in a game plan that says, let's move the ball, let's score some points, and then let's let the defense wreak havoc. So I think that their current success model is not sustainable for a full season. But if they are a team that can just execute game plans, we haven't seen that yet either. The season is still young, but that's a great question. Let's go to Believers, the Ride or Die Crew poll of the week. He said, my quarterback moving forward is Fields till Russ is 100%, or Russ. I selected Justin Fields. And the reason why I selected Justin Fields was based on the fact that I think that he's done enough to continue doing what he's doing. And that's the thing, is if they're going to commit themselves to Justin Fields, you want him to be able to play a little bit more loose. Don't want him to be tentative. I feel like if Justin Fields wins on Sunday and he plays well, and then Russell Wilson's healthy, they're going to have a tough decision to make, because I just don't understand how you would say to Justin Fields, if he does that and he's playing good football and he's not turning it over and doing all the things that everyone bemoaned when he was in Chicago, going to Russell Wilson at that time would be a really tough call. It would be a really tough call, because Fields has gotten you to this point. The one thing you don't want to do is to make a change and then have a setback. So that's what I picked. Now, a lot of people, some people picked Fields till Russ is 100% or Russ. And then Believers also. So why is everyone so down on this offense? New quarterback room, new offensive coordinator. The offenses are usually slow in the beginning of the year. I agree. And I said this when the schedule came out. And everyone looked at, the front half is so easy compared to the back half. And they're true. It's true. But if you're looking at all the changes that you just mentioned on the offensive side of the ball, and you know that things kind of start slow on offense, this is the perfect schedule then, as long as the offense is continually improving and hitting their stride when it matters the most. Let's go to Afton Forward. What do you think of Brojo's attitude change? Is there something bigger happening with him? I honestly, I'm not in the locker room, and I haven't spoken to anyone that is in the locker room. I feel like a lot of Broderick Jones quotes after the game on Sunday got misconstrued, or people saw a video that was only part of his media session. And he talked about how he chewed himself out, how he wasn't happy with the way that he played. And then he went on to say, like, look, if I'm not starting, I don't know if I should be out there. He wasn't saying that he should be starting. Of course he wants to start. He's a competitor. But he was basically saying that he's not crazy about coming off the bench cold and trying to be inserted in the game. That's fair too. But he obviously said that he thought that the defensive players were flopping, that penalties were thrown. It is what it is. I felt like he owned it. Time to move on. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to or something else. Let's go to Heath Davis. He says El Jefe, and he's also referring to Brian Davis. When I said Sean Payton coaches like an angry bus driver, this is on the postgame show, I meant as the game went on, he looked like the angry bus driver on a long field trip when the kids on the bus don't listen to them and they want to quit because it's the only job they can keep. Fair enough. He said that everyone says that Fields and Russ refuse to throw over the middle of the field. To me, that doesn't make sense. Arthur Smith wouldn't have pursued 2 quarterbacks that refuse to do an entire part of his offense. Do you think they refuse to throw over the middle? I don't think they refuse to throw over the middle. I think that they just might like options that are elsewhere, especially when, and this is happening in the first 2 weeks. I guarantee you every single offensive meeting, they're saying just to Justin Fields, we can't have that costly turnover. Can't have the costly turnover. Okay, so what is the safer throw? Outside the numbers. That's the safer throw. And when you have a big arm like Justin Fields does, he can make those throws. But we do want to see a little bit more over the middle. We saw that sprinkled in a little bit. Let's see if that trend continues. Heath also asks, the Chargers will be our biggest test to date. Fields is being a game manager with some flashes, which is more than Pickett ever did. I think you roll with him until Russ is healthy, but you have to give Russ a shot eventually. 18 points per game won't win us a Super Bowl. Again, is the offense improving? That's the question here. Is Justin Fields improving? Is the offense scoring more points? If the answers to all those questions are yes, I don't believe that you have to give Russ a shot. Because if all those things are trending in the correct direction, meaning Justin Fields is protecting the football, he's making plays with his arms and his legs, they're scoring points, they're moving the ball, why would you change that? Why would you change that? Just because? I don't believe that. Do not subscribe to that theory at all. All right, Heath Davis' final question. He said, in both games this season, they have let Fields try and drive to get points before halftime with a short clock instead of kneeling it out. Do you think this is a Tomlin thing or an Arthur Smith thing? I think it's a both. I think that it's the coordinator and the coach saying we need to trust these guys, and if they do trust these guys, let's let it rip, and I'm fine with it. West Coast N says, hi, Jeff. What Steelers game do you have the most vivid memories of, regular season only? He said, I'm out on the West Coast, and 2 games I was where he went to stand out were last year's Seahawks game and the 2021 Chargers game in LA. So many great memories. A lot of good memories. I remember my very first game in person. I was at Heinz Field in 2003, and I got to see the Steelers play the Chargers, and they won. And that was actually a Drew Brees led Chargers team, or he might have been hurt that season, but LaDainian Tomlinson was on that team. James Ferrier had a hit on LaDainian Tomlinson on a screenplay that I've never heard a hit so loud in my life. I mean, it was unbelievable how hard he hit him. And both players were fine. It was just the sheer noise that it produced was crazy. That was a good one. I also remember going to Sunday Night Football, and that was the year they started 0-4. I think it was the Chicago Bears were in town for that game. I was a Sunday night fan of the week, and I got to go and tour the city. That was a lot of fun. So those will probably be 2 right there for you. Let's go to Brandon Diaz. He said, first question, to beat the Chargers, do we need to focus on the run or the pass? Both. I think a balanced attack is what you want. Next, who's the unsung hero of the season so far? Unsung, I would say Chris Boswell, but I think that he's gotten a lot of praise. He was the AFC Special Teams Player of the Week in week 1. So but that's what I'll go with. Next, who's playing below expectations so far? Below expectations, I got to be honest. And a lot of people, it's not that he's playing poorly, but I had really high hopes for Keanu Benton. And it's not, again, he's playing good football. I was hoping for more splash. And also Nick Herbig. Nick Herbig has gotten in there. He drew a penalty the last game. He drew a holding call. But I want to see him get to really wreak some havoc, do some of the things we saw in the preseason. So we'll see if that can happen. Next, Dan Moore has played pretty good. Why do some want him benched? I think it's just the fact that they see 2 first-round draft picks and they want to see him play. And Dan Moore is that guy in the way. I don't think anyone's clamoring for the Steelers to sign Dan Moore after this year, but Dan Moore might also be their best tackle right now. So we got to keep things in perspective. Lastly, if you were the head coach, what would you do with the tackles? Well, I think Troy Fautanu is your right tackle. I think that Dan Moore is the left tackle. And I would be telling Broderick Jones, okay, you've practiced a lot at right. We're going to focus solely on left. Now, Mike Tomlin said in his press conference that he absolutely has been practicing both sides, that he is their swing tackle. But at the same time, I want Broderick Jones to be that tackle, whether it's this season or next season, left side, get him ready. Get him ready, get him right. That's what I would do. Riley Krantz. So what type of improvements do you hope to see offensively on Sunday? I just hope to God we don't get, he said Chet Brockman. I think it's Cleet Blakeman and the boys as the refs. On the postgame show, we said Chet, and that was hysterical. We were bringing up all these different references of Chet. But anyways, I don't know. I don't know who the officiating crew is. I tried to look it up. I don't think it's been announced yet. I want to see the Steelers again, 4 quarters. I want to see them move the ball for 4 quarters. Enough of this. Well, they did it in this quarter or they did it in this half. I want to see it for 4 quarters. Move the ball, show your potential for 4 quarters. Let's go to Diego Fernandez. Greetings from Steelers, Brazil Nation. If you could bring any clear wide receiver 2 from the past, who would you bring? And how could he help the current team? About wide receiver 2, do you believe Roman Wilson can be an upgrade at the position, since basically all rookies are already impacting for the team? So first, let's start with the second question. I do think Roman Wilson can upgrade the position. I just don't know how much. And I don't know if that's a really high bar to clear in the first place. If I could pick any wide receiver 2 from the past, who would I bring in? Probably Santonio Holmes. If I could bring anyone from the past, because I don't think Santonio Holmes at the time when he was drafted, or even his first few years, it was Hines Ward was a wide receiver 1. And if you're going to tell me, Jeff, that's cheating, Santonio was a wide receiver 1, then give me Hines Ward. There you go. Let's go to Nathan Bowleg. He said, is the Steelers offense a good offense if they clean up the penalties, or are they something are they something you expect them to struggle with for most of the season? I do expect them to clean that up. I really do. Next, assuming he's back this week, how much playing time would you expect Roman Wilson to get? I would say limited snaps, so probably 10 to 15. If they do more, they trust that his ankle's good. And then Nathan says also Pickens is him. I agree. Let's go to Kyle Harner. Love the show. Keep it up. 2 things. First, are you looking forward to TJ versus Alt? Yes, I am. He said he has a lot of size and did well against Max Crosby already. TJ needs to bring his A game. I'm sure he will. And then lastly, is Jim Harbaugh also considered Wang Harbaugh from bad? Any Harbaugh is a Wang. So yes, that would be acceptable. All right, Eric Marchesani, I think I said that correctly. He said, hopefully the consistency is coming, but how great is it to not despise the offensive coordinator after 2 weeks? Also, do you see a quarterback controversy brewing? At this point, I say ride with Justin until he gives you a reason otherwise. Would you agree? Yeah, I've said that a bunch in this segment. I think that you keep with Justin Fields until he shows you that you shouldn't. And that sucks for Russell Wilson, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And if you're a Steelers fan, unless you have some personal vendetta against Justin Fields, or unless he really starts to suck, you should be rooting for him too, because you would want them to figure out who their quarterback is for the future. He's still really young. So I think he's only like a year older than Kenny Pickett, and he's in year 4 of his professional career. So keep that in the back of your mind too. All right, let's go to I'm just here for sports. Said, how likely is it that I win the SCN Survivor pool by week 5 if people keep putting their faith in the Ravens and Bengals? I got to be honest, I was out. I made it to the second week. I picked the Ravens to beat the Raiders at home. They lost. I'm happy. I'm happy they lost. And I don't have to worry about the Survivor League. You could win it. I don't think by week 5, though. Steelers 419. When is the last time the Steelers were undefeated? Feels great. And then he follows this up with, are the Steelers hurting Broderick Jones' progression? Feels similar to the Bryce Young situation with all the changes and now the benching. The last time the Steelers were undefeated after 2 games, probably 2020. That was when they rattled off 13 wins in a row. They were 13-0. So, yeah, it does feel good. 2-0 does feel good. Now, are they hurting Broderick Jones? Yeah, but they've been doing that since he was drafted. They find a spot for him and stick with it. Quit messing around. So, yeah, I don't know if it's a Bryce Young situation. That was a first overall draft pick, and they mortgaged a lot to get him. And he's benched after 2 weeks in his second year. Let's go to Ed Cunningham. No such thing as winning ugly, Jeff. Ugly has always been beautiful in the Berg. But defense will have a tough test this week. In a role reversal, the offense may have to bail them out. Who needs to rise up in order to win? I'm looking for Muth and Mount Washington to explode. I think that this offense, if they need an explosive play, there's 2 players I'm pointing to. Obviously, George Pickens. And then the other one is someone you mentioned, Pat Freiermuth. Pat Freiermuth starting to kind of find their way, starting to make more of an impact. I love what I'm seeing. And I hope the Steelers offense doesn't have to bail out the defense. I hope that doesn't happen. Let's finish this up with some humor, as we always do. Steeler fan 69. He said, what did the drummer name his twin daughters? Anna 1, Anna 2. Get it? Anna 1, Anna 2. Anyways. Next, how much does a pirate pay for corn? $1 an ear. And then he said, I always listen to Neil Diamond during the holidays. He's got Sweet Carolines. And that's obviously Sweet Caroline. Ba, ba, ba. My daughter's name is Caroline, and we've been singing that song to her since she was in utero. And she actually grew up hating it, but she likes it now. So great stuff. Great questions, as always, for the mailbag segment. I thank everyone for tuning in. Make sure you check out all of our shows on the Steel Curtain Network, both on our YouTube channel as well as on our audio platform. And check out steelcurtainnetwork.com. It should be one of your stops every single day. We could provide a lot of great content. I want to shine some light on that, steelcurtainnetwork.com. But that does it for me. Hope you have a great rest of your week. I will be back on Friday for the Behind Enemy Line segment and the All Bets Are Off segment. But we finished out. Be safe, be kind, and God bless. See you on Friday. Go Steelers.